What is up, everyone? On today's podcast, we're talking about two very important topics that are near and dear to my heart. On the first, we have habit versus experimentation. Is there a pro and con to either one, vis-a-vis coffee? And number two, we're talking about writing. Is there any benefit or any detriment? Is that the opposite of benefit? I don't know. Please write in. We're talking about the pros and cons of writing handwritten versus typing on a computer. All that and more on today's podcast. I'm Anthony Ladon, and you're listening to POAT Podcast. That was pretty good. All right. I guess we're just going to get right into it. Just with no fanfare, no song at the beginning. You know what? Maybe today is going to be the day that I put a song up top. Why don't we just pretend that I did that? And maybe you know what? I will. How did you like the theme song? Hopefully you loved it. Let me know with your thoughts at poatcast@gmail.com. I did receive a lovely email from a listener named Chris, who also shared a similar story to the episode titled A New York Love Story, where he moved to New York a few years ago and fell in love with it. And welcome, Chris. I guess it was just a few years ago, so I take back the welcome. You've already enjoyed the town, so... But anyway, thanks for your email. I really appreciated it. It reminded me that there's, besides me and my mom, there's now you who listen to this podcast. So I appreciate it. It's nice to know that there's more than one person out there. So yeah, I'm super excited. I just got back, Whiff and I just got back from DC area. We were down in Virginia, in Alexandria. I don't know why I'm ending all these sentences as if they were questions, because it really did happen. Believe me. I'm telling you the truth. I think. Yeah. Let's just go with yes. But we had a great time. I like Virginia because I like Alexandria because it feels like somebody actually intentionally built that city to make it pretty. And there's there's an older part that's prettier, like the downtown waterfronty area. But I like what they've done with the place is where I'm going with this. But it reminds me of Paris in a sense, where there's trees and gardens and stuff and things are pretty, which you don't like. New York is 20% of it is a slum, which is where I live. I live in the slum section, but there's garbage everywhere and it's dirty and gross. And that's what we love about the place. But Alexandria has this nice, planned, pretty feel. It's like it put on its best face for you. It got a little bit dressed up, put on a little bit of makeup. It looks nice. That's my routine, at least. But yeah, it was. I wish more cities did that. We've done road trips around the country several times, and there's not a lot of towns. There's not a lot of places that are pretty. It seems like most places prioritize strip malls and convenience over anything else. Dallas to me is just one giant freeway interchange. It's there's 12 freeways that connect there, and then there's this tower. It's almost like a giant roller coaster where all the freeways interchange. And that's Dallas's crowning feature is its freeway system. But not a lot of, New York has Central Park. It's basically they planned all the prettiness for one strip. That was just one little landing strip area of trees and green, which is nice. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about Central Park, but I wouldn't mind if they did it elsewhere. Put some trees everywhere else. I know that's difficult, and I've got other issues to deal with. But maybe in some of the recent tax hikes or the upcoming tax hikes, we can use all the money that they raise and hopefully not scare away the billionaires to go towards some greenery around the town. I know that's not going to solve everything. I just think maybe it would solve my problems. But most cities, I think, are not very pretty. Seattle is better, but those parks are just used for homeless encampments. So it's, okay. And there's actually not a ton of them. That's the other thing. But there's some nice little areas, like little pockets, which I kind of like. But yeah, I'm trying to think of a pretty town. Alexandria might just be, and I'm thinking about this because like in between some of the row houses and stuff, they have gardens where it's like these people actually planned out trees and hedges and stuff, to keep everyone away. But that's, I don't care what the purpose is. It's nice. It looks nice. It feels nice walking through it. It's like, oh, I'm glad I came. Which is the same feeling I get in Paris. I keep using Paris as an example just because that's one international city I've been to, and I think they do it pretty well. Where, I know that there's terrible areas in the town, but like most of it is pretty beautiful. Like they have gardens. I don't know. It seems like everywhere, and mimes all over the place. People smoking cigarettes with the long holders. It's just everything's got a nice little. I like it. A little. I don't know how to put it. Like a je ne sais quoi, whatever that means. But yeah. So Dallas, not so pretty. New York could use some work. I think that's one reason I like when it rains here. Why am I going way off topic here? I started this off by saying we just got back from Alexandria, Virginia. And then somehow I'm talking about why I like when it rains in New York. So sorry. This is already a train wreck. But I do like when it rains in New York because then it washes away all of the dirt and the grime, and it's kind of nice, when it finally comes out of it and dries off. Oh, by the way, before I get too far into this, does anybody know of a way? Has science not figured out a way to break down dog urine, the smell of it? I think it's ammonia, but you know what I mean? Like, it's terrible in New York. That's actually one reason for a lot of the smell in the town. I call it a town. The city is, it smells like dog pee everywhere because, people people don't have kids here until they're like 80. And all the time up until then, they've got money to burn because New York's such a cheap city to live in that they decide, hey, I'm lonely. Instead of bumping around, talking to any of these people out here, why don't I adopt a dog or bring a dog into my tiny apartment where I have tons of room for a golden retriever? But yeah, has science not figured this out yet? How to break down dog urine? I don't even care if there's a spray that kills the environment. I would go that far. I would kill all the greenery and the plants and trees that we just planted, whatever, in New York to clean it up if it got rid of the smell of dog pee. Even just a little bit. I don't need to perfume it. I don't need to make it smell nice. Is there a way to break it down? It seems like there should be, right? I haven't conducted an internet search for this yet. I haven't DuckDuckGo'd it or Ecosia or, Googled it. Bing? Is Bing still around? Barf. But yeah, is there a way to break down dog pee? In lieu of that, does anybody have any ideas for how to better contain it? Like, I know there's signs that say, please curb your dog every 5 feet in New York, which, having not grown up in New York, I didn't know what please curb your dog meant. Is this a common term? Like to curb something? I mean, I get that it means, I've never even looked it up. I think that it means go to the curb. Please curb your dog is a way of saying go to the curb to have them do their business. But it doesn't mean like do it in the street, does it? If so, I'm not doing it right. But that might be a little bit better because then it's at least a little bit farther away from the primary, traffic lane of the sidewalk or footpath if you're international. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. It just says, please curb your dog. And I assume half the people don't understand because they drag their dog up against the building and then the dog pees on that. But there's pee on the sidewalk and stuff. And, it dries pretty quick, especially in the summer. But then it just stinks for a long time. And it seems like some enterprising, scientifically oriented entrepreneur would come up with some way to break down the smell. I would say we should take away all sorts of money from other areas of the city budget and just put it to that. I know, there's a lot of money that goes towards the homeless and the shelters and everything, but maybe they might like staying outside a little bit more if it didn't smell like dog pee. So really, we're doing it for them. I only picked that because that's around my apartment, but and it's I assume fairly expensive. But I don't know. If anybody has any ideas, please email me. I'm not going to do anything about it, but poatcast@gmail.com. Still there. Or poatpodcast@gmail.com. That's a good one. What else? I did want to talk about something. Let me see what the reason here we go. The reason I brought up Alexandria in the first place. Now we're getting back on track. 10 minutes into this thing, we're getting somewhere. The reason I brought up Alexandria was we traveled to Alexandria, and there was a couple mornings I went to Starbucks to get breakfast, get a bite to eat. And my thought was, is there a benefit? What's the opposite of a benefit? Like a con? What's the con word for a benefit? Detriment? No. Very beneficial, I don't know. Who cares? But whatever the opposite of a benefit is there a con to going to the same place out of habit to get your thing? So, and basically, each morning, let's say my task is to get breakfast or coffee. Let's just say to get coffee. And we're going to rule out the room coffee, even though that's probably also I think it was Starbucks. But we're going to rule that out and just say, I'm going to go outside to get coffee. I have options. I can either go to the place I normally go, which is Starbucks, or I can try the local. Maybe let's assume there are 2 cafes. Let's assume there are 3 cafes within the same distance. This is getting really dorky mathematical now. One is a quarter mile away. The other is 3/8 of a mile. And if both the trains leave Starbucks and the other cafe at the same time, no, the question is, all else being equal, is there a benefit? Is there a pro or a con? I keep getting cornered into that benefit. What's the opposite of benefit? Email me, please. Anyway, all else being equal, is there a pro or a con? What are the pros and cons to going to your habitual place versus another? Okay, so hear me out. On the one hand, it's a known quantity. I know that Starbucks is going to be okay. It's going to be good. It's not going to be great. Okay, but it's dependable. I know I can go anywhere, at least around the United States. Outside there, I don't know if I would bother going to Starbucks. But at least in the United States, I know that I can go into any Starbucks, and it's going to be it's going to be about the same. I'm going to get the same thing. Okay, that's the nice thing about it. It's the variance is pretty low. That doesn't mean it's great though. It's okay coffee. But is that better or worse than experimenting and trying out like the local cafe? And let's assume it's not, another chain. Let's assume it's not Dunkin', because Dunkin' is terrible. Dunkin' is an atrocious affront to coffee, and it should be removed from the face of the earth. Okay. They're also the sponsors of today's podcast. Dunkin' Donuts. The world runs on Dunkin'. But okay. Is there a benefit, the ritual or experimenting with new things? Right? Because on the one hand, it's dependable. It's nice to go to Starbucks. Then I don't waste time thinking about, okay, I need coffee. Where am I going to go? Instead, I could just use it to have this hypothetical conversation on a dumb podcast. But let's say I'm saving time. I don't have to think about where am I going for coffee? What am I getting? Because it's the same thing every time. Or is it better to go to the local cafe and maybe try the same thing? Get like a latte there, or a drip coffee, or cold brew, or something, whatever your thing is, and see how it is. And then beyond, so that's like the primary conversation, right? Is it better or worse in that initial choice, right? Going to Starbucks versus going somewhere else. Then the next thing is there a benefit? Well, I really gotta figure out the opposite of benefit. Is it an easy word? Am I just missing it? Is it right there? I don't know. But beyond that primary choice, is it better or worse in general to go with the Starbucks of your life, or is it better to experiment and try new things? Because on the one hand, if you're always trying new things, then life can get pretty hectic. Let's try this. Let's try a new restaurant every single night for dinner. Yeah, sometimes I just want a slice of pizza from this place. I don't need a new piece of pizza. I don't, whatever. But is it good to keep your brain primed, for new experiences? That's the other side of things. Am I losing anything? Would I be able to come up with the opposite of beneficial more readily had I not been going to Starbucks all these years when I travel and instead going to a different cafe every time? That's the question, really. Would I be able to would my brain be primed to make new connections? Would I be smarter? Would I be a better human if I were more open to new experiences? And again, I'm just using the cafe as an example. Is there a balance? Is there, okay, well, maybe for coffee, I don't care as much. I'm okay with okay coffee. Then for lunch, we can go wild. I can try panini, also from Starbucks. Is there a balance where you branch out one of them because you've got some little rock, some little anchor ritual, whatever, for the other parts? These are the big, huge topics that we're tackling today on POAT. So yeah, is there a benefit to the balance? Let's argue pro and con here. I like Starbucks is fine because I don't have to think about it. I know it's right there. I know what I'm getting. I don't have to worry. I don't have to wonder. And you could argue that each cup of coffee is a little bit different. So let's say I just get hot drip, which sounds I'm uncomfortable saying. But let's say you get a drip coffee every single time. Are you able then to better appreciate the nuances of each cup? And let's assume there are nuances. I know it's Starbucks, but let's go with it here. It's like having the same tea ritual every single time. It's like, I'm using the same ingredients here and the same ratios, but can I taste the nuances? Also, if I get the same cup of coffee every single day, instead of branching out and trying a new cafe, am I better able to see the differences with me? I don't have to then focus externally on this cup of coffee and like, wow, this is the greatest cup of coffee in my life. No, it's an okay cup. It then becomes less about the cup and more about, well, what is changing? What are the differences? Maybe it's me. What's different about me? My taste buds might be different. I brushed for once. I don't know. I hadn't thought about that one before. Not the brushing, but the part of maybe the one of the benefits of routine is you're more attuned. If you're looking for differences anyway, are you better able then to find the differences in yourself, right? So, in this, this is getting deep fast on a Saturday morning here. But okay, so same cup of coffee every single time, right? There might be slight variances. There's going to be variances. The water might be different. The grounds might be older or fresher or roasted slightly differently. But okay, once you get kind of an average baseline going there's the you part of this experiment or experience. And are you better than able, can you focus on other things? Boy. And that's a goose. A goose? Oh, you know what? Maybe if you're starting a routine, hopefully you can see the change in your vocabulary. And if you start saying things like goose, just stop. Just stop altogether. But then on the flip side, am I training my brain to only search out commonplace or things I've done before in the exercise of going to get coffee? If I know I'm just going to go to Starbucks, boom. Am I training myself to not even think outside the box in other ways? What basically, I guess what it comes down to is, if I hadn't been getting Starbucks all these years when I'm traveling for coffee, would I be more like Einstein, able to make connections from disparate parts of his brain more readily than I am right now? Is that what's holding me back, basically? Is that the main difference? Should I switch to Dunkin'? the sponsors for today's podcast. America runs on Dunkin'. But if I had I switched to Dunkin', would I be more like Einstein? And I don't know. This is a good question. One I probably can't figure out until I switch coffees or switch to different cafes every single time. Then I can probably figure out if I would be more like Einstein. So yeah, but back on the flip side, we're going back and forth. I'm waffling here because I don't know. I don't know the answer. Again, probably because I've been drinking Starbucks this whole time. But I can see either. I think you can make an argument either way. The other thing is, if you are open to trying new things, going to a new cafe at least part of the time, then you might discover that you like a different coffee better, and then you could change your routine. That could become your new routine. So then maybe, is there a balance? Is it like, well, 3 out of 4 times I'm going to have Starbucks, but then 1 out of 4 times, is that the math? Yeah. 25% of the time, I'm going to try something new just to, dabble on the side. See if there's something else I like. Not tea, though. I hate tea. I don't even like tea drinkers, which pretty much means the rest of the world. But this is America. But I don't like tea. It's disgusting. I've talked about this before in this podcast. My dislike of tea is strong. And I'll tell you why. Because I have a captive audience here with just me. Oh, no, now my mom and this other guy, Chris. So thanks, listeners. But a tea, every time I drink it, I want it to be a stronger flavor. I want more, like instead of 1 tea bag, I want it to be 10 tea bags in one, but then it becomes cost prohibitive and it's not even that good to begin with. I don't know why people drink tea. Is it because it's not cheap? Actually, some of the good teas are not cheap. So I don't know why people do it. I can't get behind it. I'm not going to waste the 25% of the experimental time on tea. It will be on coffee. It could be on different coffee drinks. That's fine. I tried almond milk. That's okay. In one of Starbucks' drinks, Oat milk's now a thing. It's been a thing for a few years, but it's just now becoming mainstream in Starbucks because they're maybe experimenting as well. Maybe everybody's experimenting. Okay. But yeah, maybe everybody's experimenting, So yeah, is 25-75 a good enough balance? Am I going to get the Einstein benefits of being able to discover relativity, both general and special? If I try a new brand, I don't know. These are real big things. And then, okay, now we go from, that's just the coffee thing. Maybe for coffee, I don't care as much. I'll keep it with Starbucks, but then for lunch and dinner, then maybe then, barf, Anthony, tighten it up. Ugh, what is wrong with you? Fix it. Get it together. But yeah, then, that's a good balance of discovery and experimentation, where the coffee thing, okay, that's gonna be the same every morning, but lunch and dinner, or just lunch, whatever, a meal, that's where you get wild. I could get behind that. I don't know. Yeah. And then how long do you have to experiment to start seeing the benefits of the switch, though? That's the other question. If I just pivoted and started going to Dunkin' now, which I'm not, or started drinking tea now, which I definitely won't be doing, how long do I have to do that before I become superhuman? I think is the most important thing. And really, yeah, I don't know. Is even just thinking about it. Maybe that's part of it too, is just having a conscious reflection / complete waste of time about your habits, about my coffee drinking habits. Is that enough? Because then I can at least have this external debate. It's not just internal anymore. I can have this external debate about whether I should experiment or not. And is that good enough? Is it just going to be a confirmation bias of like, well, yeah, I already like Starbucks. Why not just stick with that because of all these reasons that I just now came up with, only because I like it already? I don't know. Boy, so many deep topics. No, it's actually just one. It's about Starbucks. And then also, when you travel, are you missing out? So let's say you go to Paris and you go to a Starbucks there. Is that a bad thing because you're sticking around doing your habitual thing? Or is it a good thing because maybe you are able to then see the differences, the nuances, again, there with Starbucks? Then you can compare Starbucks here versus there. I guess it's kind of like an experimental design question of, are you going for differences within a group? Starbucks v. Starbucks. That's not a Supreme Court case. It's Starbucks versus Starbucks, Anthony. Or are you going for more of a cross-sectional study of, well, let's look at cafes. What are the differences there? And then really you're not going to get that much, and we're talking about ritual and habit. We're not talking about experimental design here. But it kind of is because, okay, so let's say Starbucks in Paris, you see the nuances and stuff. Maybe that allows you to better experience a new city. If your deal is, I'm going to go to a Starbucks in each town that I'm in, it'd be really cool if there were a city called Starbucks somewhere in the world, and you could go to a Starbucks in Starbucks. Wouldn't that be fun? No, just me? Okay. But I think that'd be cool to, when you travel, are you just going to like a Starbucks within each one? Or are you going to different cafes and stuff? Because that's not why I travel. I travel because people say you're supposed to. Or they pretend it's a good thing. I think because they like to travel and they want to make sure that everybody else likes to travel, because if all of a sudden people don't, then they're the only ones and then they feel left out. But yeah, but the question then is, do you compare or do you contrast? I don't even know where I'm going with that. I don't even know where I'm going with any of this, just so you know. That this is not, I don't have an outline. I know this sounds really erudite, but I don't know what I'm doing. Really, this is all extemporaneous, unfortunately, or fortunately. I could read a prepared statement. I don't think that'd be as much fun. Well, but I don't know, maybe, who knows? I haven't done it yet. I've gotten into the habit of just this extemporaneous chit chat by myself. It's just a chit, no chat. And maybe I should experiment and just read a prepared statement. Although then I would be like those other podcasts, like, I don't want to start reading stuff. Then it's more like a radio show, which I guess is kind of what a podcast could be. This is more like talk radio, one-sided, but that's still what it is. Anywho. So yeah, Starbucks versus the world. I don't know. If I were to do it all over again, and the other thing is, speaking of habit, when we were in Alexandria, I did experiment, and for lunch, I went to a hot dog place because it was close, and I got a veggie dog because I was feeling a little bit nutty. And I went back 3 more times to the same restaurant. I think every meal that I had in Alexandria outside of 2 dinners with friends was at this hot dog place called Hot Dog, which still makes me giggle. And on the inside, they had pictures of dogs. I mean, really, that's so perfect. Which is also why I got the veggie dog, because I didn't know if that was like these dogs went into the hot dogs. So I just to be on the safe side, I got a dog-free hot dog. It's just a hot. The veggie dog was not as terrible as I thought it was going to be. I think the veggie dog in general is not, I don't know, I don't have as much problem with a veggie dog as I do with the Beyond Beef and the Impossible Burger and all that stuff. Because I think there's a textural thing to the veggie dog, to the shape and bite of a hot dog that is necessary for the hot dog experience. And I think a veggie dog, you can kind of fake it better. The burger thing, I don't know. Maybe I don't have a problem. Maybe I'm coming around to this because if people want to still participate in, a hot dog experience just with a veggie, a plant-based thing, that's fine. I guess I don't have as much problem with that, only because I could see myself doing it. Not on the regular, but I don't know. I'm grappling with some issues, really. I think I experimented with the veggie dog, and now I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am anymore. But anyway, that was fun because I experimented once, and then I found out I liked this restaurant because they had really fun toppings on it. Like they had pho toppings, they had all sorts of fun names that I can't remember. I just remember the one I got. And then like they had a Chicago dog, a New York dog. The New York dog, they actually, I didn't get it because I figured that would have been too close to home. And then you start comparing, like, well, is it like the New York bagels and all this stuff? I don't know. Is it made by an angry guy in Central Park who just picks it out of dirty water? I don't know. That's the motto or the theme, I guess, of today's podcast is I don't know. What do you know? What do we really know? I know I shouldn't put that on the air. That's for sure. All right, where are we going now? Next topic. I think I have another topic here. Writing speeds versus editing speeds. Oh, okay. This is another fun one. This is another compare and contrast. But see, I kind of like we've got two things. We got Starbucks versus, habit versus experimentation, and this one is writing versus. Okay, so here's the big quandary. Is I mentioned a couple podcasts ago, and for the last probably 12 podcasts that I like doing morning pages. If you haven't listened to the podcast recently, good for you. You're welcome. But morning pages is the thing I do every morning with my wife, where we each sit down and write in our notebooks 3 whole pages. That's it. By hand, right? And with a pen. But my question is there a difference between writing by hand and typing in a word processor? Like on a computer. I don't know why I said word processor like I was in 1980. We have these very cool new word processors that you might be very interested in. We have 1 megabyte of RAM. Actually, it's 512K. You have to get the 1 megabyte upgrade if you want to get it. But I don't know where that guy came from. He's not welcome on the show ever again. He'll come back. But is there a difference in the writing? So both in the content and in the quality. Okay, so that's the first question. Let's say I'm writing an essay or a poem, or let's say I'm writing an essay, just to keep it simple. Is there a difference? Would there be a difference writing it by hand versus typing it in the actual content of the essay? Do you think differently? Do you process differently? I have one example here. I do think it's different in the sense that when I was writing, I think I was writing a sentence like, how could I make this thing better? And as I was writing that idea, because it took so long to write, I changed the word make better to improve, right? So it was less verbose. I used a stronger word, a better word. And instead of how could I make this thing better, I wrote, how could I improve this thing? Right? Not bad. Pretty good, right? I improved the sentence. I would argue that it improves the quality of the writing. Okay. So, but it takes longer, right? Writing out by hand takes a lot longer than typing on a computer, assuming, I type at 2,000 words per minute. I don't know what you do, probably not that much because I'm pretty great. But, okay, so that's one thing. That's one difference. But on the flip side, though, all the time that you save typing in a word processor, could you devote to editing? And could you have read that sentence, how could I improve this thing? And then as you're editing, switch it to, or how can I make this thing better? Switch that sentence. There we go. I need to edit this. Switch that to, how could I improve this? You know what I mean? Like, are we getting somewhere here? Do you understand? One of them's faster, but then you can devote more time to editing. You know what I'm saying? Is this making any sense to you? I don't know. I don't know if it's making any sense to me. It is. So yeah, so number one, obviously there's the time difference. Number two, and more importantly, is the quality of the thing that you're writing, the idea, the content, the stuff. Is it any better or worse one way or the other? And I don't know if you could really measure that because it'd be very difficult to, no, you can't, because you have to write the same, you have to be like, right, what are your thoughts on this? And you have to do it by pen and then type it. But if the second one will be informed by the first one, so you really can't do it. Not in this world. Maybe in the mini worlds you could, if you were able to aggregate across them. That's a joke for the nerds out there. But yeah, I don't know. And would my jokes be any funnier if I wrote them by hand versus typed them? Because most of the time I do type them. I mean, type them on a computer, a word processor. Now, and then just to add even more complexity to this, what about a typewriter? Okay, because it's a different format. You have to you're still using home row, right? But it's slower than a computer because the keys, they ching. That's the sound a typewriter makes. Chung, 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 ching. There you go. Not going to do it. Not going to say it. So yeah, is the typewriter any different? And then what about dictation? What? I know. Mind blown. Is that going to be is there a difference between writing by hand, typing in a word processor, dictating to somebody else or to a computer? And then imagine, I guess the next step would be like some sort of implantable chip that could read your mind, and it'd be like mental dictation. You could call it Mendic for short. I'm going to Mendic this. It's some sort of chip you stick in your head and you just think it and it comes out. I think book 4 of the Dune series was written that way. That's like the form that the story takes is, I don't want to spoil it for you, but Leto, the God Emperor, or is it Leto 2? I think it's Leto II, is using a Ixian tool, where he can think something and it writes it in a distant location because, he doesn't want people to find it. I think that's God Emperor of Dune. I think it's number 4. Anyway, if you know the answer, please send an email to podcast@gmail.com. But, would that be any different than writing, typing, dictating to somebody else or yourself, is just it might be. Like, do you think in words in your head? I don't know. See, this is another big thing. Would it improve or harm? Would it help or harm your writing in content? And then, well, I don't know, editing wise, I don't know how you do the Mendic way of editing it, but we should probably change that name. That's probably not the best name for that, I think. Yeah, that's probably not good. But yeah, so anyway, these are the big questions, all the time that you save, because the quality, I think, is like, if I can extrapolate from that example of, this is going real deep on a really nerdy thing. And I am sorry if you're actually listening to this whole thing. But yeah, if you go, I don't know if I have the patience for handwriting. I like it. The other thing is it's difficult for me to read my own writing because I want to write so quickly. And then I sometimes I have trouble reading it. So then I lose even more time. But let's say you have great handwriting, and it takes you 20 minutes to write 2 sentences. I don't know. Is it going to be a good 2 sentences though? That's the flip side. Okay. I think I've beaten that topic to death. I think. Unless there's anything else that we can go at with this. This is why I need a guest. But I can't find anybody. This is my routine and this is my habit. So I don't want to change that because then I would be branching out into doing new things. And that frightens me. All right. What else we got? Is there another topic on this list? No. Writing speeds, editorial speeds, Starbucks versus variety. Definitely the spice of life. And then some other to-do list things. Okay, I think this is pretty good. Why don't we cut it here? I've had a wonderful time chatting with you. This kind of went off the rails into, I'm sweating now because I was thinking so hard. I think I may have had that implantable chip and Mendicked it somewhere else. I'm gonna have to go find out where I Mendicked it to. But yeah, questions, comments, concerns, send them over to podcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. You've been such a great audience today or tonight or whatever time you're listening to this in. You were great. Or watching it now. You can also watch this on YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Anthony Ledon. That's Ledonne. That's I feel like I need to spell that, but I don't know if I really do. It's not a word. It's a weird word. Anyway, I'm going to have to edit that out. It's just a stupid thing I say because I don't know how to end these things. Anyway, thank you so much for listening or watching, whichever one you're doing. Only a few more weeks left for the braces, so I'll be able to speak more normally soon. I know we're all looking forward to that. And yeah, I think that's about it. All right, take care. It was really good chatting with you and talking to you or at you. Not with you, though, because it's kind of a one-way street. Okay, this is it. We got to end now. Bye.